prepare yourself to be responsible because if not, you will be guilty. That means you can receive any kind of advice, you can have any kind of excuse saying, I was busy, I was focused. But at the end of the day, you will not be a kid forever and you will become an adult. And you know what it is when you're adult? When you sign a paper, when you sign a contract, you're supposed to take advice before because then when you put that signature on that paper, you are responsible.
Today at the podcast, we have an interesting guest, our friend, a superstar athlete, Florent Malouda. We're going to discuss a lot of topics. Over 10 years experience with the French national team, playing in many leagues, playing for great teams, Champions League winner with Chelsea, the real superstar, Florent Malouda. Thank you for being our guest today.
Thanks for having me. What a nice introduction.
It's real.
Yeah, really. True.
So, who is Flo Malouda? How you started your career? What persuaded you to be a football player? Tell us about you.
Well, I would say Florent Malouda is a kid born in South America, in French Guyana. I was born in Cayenne. And as many kids, I never thought that I would do such an amazing career in football. But I would say the starting point was inspiration. I was inspired by other French Guyanese players who showed me that there was a way in achieving great things by doing the sports that you love, and that's it. And I would say I never really thought really far along the way. I just did everything step by step.
Well, there are certain points probably in your life, in your career, where that was super challenging, and there were the key turns that changed you and changed your path and made you who you are. Can you tell us about few?
Yeah, I would say the first one I have to say when coming from South America in the French territory, but in South America, most of the opportunities were and still are in Europe. So the first thing was how to make it to Europe into a football academy.
You were 13, right?
Yeah, but I started maybe from 11. I was going into camps, doing trials, just in the beginning to get experience and the feeling. But sometimes I was rejected because I was small, I was too young, which made sense. But for me, it was hard to take, but I was kind of resilient. And one of the main turning point was there was a charity event in French Guyana. And at the time, the French legend Michel Platini came and he watched our game. We played just before their game. And then he gave the advice to one of his friends who was coach in second division, a club called Châteauroux. He said, you should go back with this kid because he's got something. So that was, let's say, unexpected. And to be scouted by Michel Platini, Ballon d'Or, won the European Cup, like great legend in Italy, then the UEFA president, it was a sign. Like it wasn't written, it was a sign. And then I think in 2012, when we won the Champions League, he gave me that medal. So we spoke about it. So that was like one of the, let's say, key moments in my football career.
That's pretty cool. Well, you lived your childhood in French Guiana, then you moved to France, then from France you moved to England, and then you keep moving, and your career was long and successful, but there must be a lot of struggles as well. So everybody talks about these great moments and achievements, but I know there's a hard work behind it, and there's a lot of successes, but failures as well. What would you say that was your toughest period in your career, something that you had to overcome?
I always mention the beginning the beginning, because coming from South America, where there's only two seasons, the wet season and the dry season, uh, coming at 15 away from your family, you need to reset everything you know. So football was my point of focus, but you have no family. At the time, I had no contract, so no resources, the support from the club, but I need to reshuffle the way I was thinking, and I needed to be very flexible and adapt to my environment. And the pressure was high because the thing is, every year, if you're not good enough, you go back home. But no one is waiting for you at home. So this kind of pressure that you have constantly prepares you for what comes next. And then, like you mentioned, people mention success. It's very hard to, and it asks a lot of hard work and dedication to make it to the top. But to stay on top is the most difficult, especially when you have to compete with champions. But the mindset was developed at this age when I had to fight, to make it in life and be on my own. No family, no backup, is you against yourself. And that was, I think, what prepared me for the all the challenges. And I don't like to use the word setbacks, but all the challenges, I knew that I went through there and I know how to overcome it.
When you were moving from country to country, obviously different cultures. You came from a very small island to France, a big country. Okay, it helped you. You spoke the same language. You're a French citizen. You had a passport, French passport. But then moving to UK from there, it's a slightly different culture. And then how did you, and moving back from UK to other destinations, was it easy or hard for you to integrate in the new culture, in the new society? And
Well, I would say it's quite similar. Every time you have to move, I assimilate it with progress. Every time I move to a country, sometimes you can move for tourism or whatever, but when it's for opportunities, you want to move there. So you're trying to integrate yourself, to understand the culture, to take, all kind of information to let's say be yourself in a different environment. Then I would say, if I take, for example of England, before I moved to England, I used to go visit friends in England to take information and to see and to share their experience, their feedback about what struggle they went to, and it was a kind of preparation. And then when I moved, they helped me settle in. And every time you move to a different country, you always need support from someone to help you settle. And then, you have to also forget what you did in the past and say, okay, I come to a new country, I need to add something, I need to be an added value. And once you do that, I think that's the right formula to keep progressing.
like to get yourself ready for a pitch, for a game, it's same in life. You gotta be prepared. You gotta do your research. You gotta figure
Yeah.
out how you're gonna do your next steps, and support from the team, and logistics is important. Well, I agree. I agree with you. We'll talk about a lot of things, but I want to ask you something that I think uh, people like to hear, something interesting. Like, what was the single, if you can take a single happiest moment in your career, what was that one?
Well, I mentioned the Champions League final in Munich. Like we were talking about setbacks. I'm thinking about when we lost against Barcelona. Yeah, remember that's I think it was a semi-final or quarter-final in 2009, and then with same squad you reach the final in Munich against, like, they were flying. You played them at Allianz Arena, and the outcome is like it was wonderful. Time stops, and you want to celebrate with what became a family, through the struggles, the hard work, the setbacks, the successes. And that was our goal from the first day. I mean, when I came to England first time, for example, I always mention DJ Drogba. He helped me to settle in. The goal was to win the Champions League. Why did I move to England? To win the Champions League. So to do it 6 years later is you get the taste of all the sweat, blood, and tears mixed with the champagne, beer, and
And you
celebration.
almost had it with playing Manchester
Yeah, yeah.
in Moscow.
Yeah, in Moscow 2008. So in my first year at Chelsea was very close, like one penalty away. And then 6 years later, when against all odds, we did it, same scenario, we go to the penalty and it's like the drama was written and the outcome is positive. So then it becomes let's say a moment you cherish forever, and then you want to live more, but you understand that it is special. You need to put it in a special place, and you live with this great memory for forever.
Did you sleep that night, or you stayed awake all
No,
night?
that's what you get to experience. Is first it's let's say an everlasting moment on the pitch. You're trying to spend as much time as possible with the trophy, and then you have all the logistics because then you have to celebrate, fly back, so you don't sleeping much. And then the next morning we had to celebrate in London, because we're the first London club to win the Champions League, and to celebrate it in the streets of London was very very special. And no, that's why you wear dark glasses, because you don't sleep much.
We this previous World Cup in Qatar, we went to a lot of games together, and how is different being on the pitch playing, because you played the World Cup final
Yeah.
against Italy, and how is being on the pitch playing the game and being in the stands and supporting your team, your nation, and
Yeah, it's different, but let's say I'm a football fan. Before being a football player, I'm a football fan, so it's different kind of emotions. My first experience was in Russia 2018, and it's like for me it's a new world. Like you come to the same kind of games, but you see everything around the organization, the fan zones, the fans traveling, even the traveling experience. And we've been to Qatar. Like we did some trip that we would never do if it wasn't for a football game.
I remember you saying for football, you even
Yeah,
downgrade.
yeah. I would drive a caravan, a trailer to go to watch a game, and the build up also to the game was very emotional. I remember you were like, like you're more stressed than the players, and it was for France national team. It was not even for Montenegro.
Yeah.
So you imagine this, and you realize the power of football, the impact that you have in the world.
I love football, and unfortunately, I wasn't good enough to reach any level of close to yours. But I enjoy those moments on a stands and watching it on a TV. It's powerful. The pressure that as a spectator you feel when you cheer for your team, it's tremendous. I will never forget the kid that was with his dad behind us sitting when he was crying because France was losing at that moment 2-0, if I remember. That scene I will always remember it. Power football is great. And footballers are loved and celebrated around the world. And everybody thinks, okay, being famous and being a football star is the greatest thing in the world. But do you, when you're in your peak, how do you feel? Do you embrace this fame? Do you enjoy it? Or sometimes it becomes challenging, it becomes, you feel like you don't have any privacy.
No, I mean, that's part of the environment, but that was never my motivation. Um, I am passionate about football, even now that I'm not playing in a different way. I'm involved, but the thing is, when you are playing, you are focused on how to prepare, how to compete. So you have a kind of routine, and that that is a point of focus. So when you keep that point of focus, you are not distracted by successes or reactions outside. In my time, there was not so much social media. Now it's changing, it's evolving, but still, you are surrounded by people who help you to prepare, to recover, and so it's a whole process. And now I realize even more the impact that we mentioned. And I realize that you are connected even emotionally to the world because you create great memories. First for yourself because you're competing, you're trying to be the best version and to show it, show your talent. But you realize that people are connected to you. So what you do is like you create emotions, like you mentioned, with families, especially in England, that's the culture. People go from their childhood, they follow the team, they support one, the family support one team, sometimes the dad support one team, creates problem in the family, but they're very, very um, uh, supporting of the culture of their club. And when you represent them, you are affiliated, you're part of the same family. And this is something I understand even more now. But when you are inside, you just focus on objectives that you can reach, and then you bring more and more objective. You're trying to step up your game to renew yourself, and you're trying to make it last as long as possible because there's always a hand.
Uh, while playing, the football players are adored, celebrated. Everybody wants to be their friends. But do you think that young players, before even today with social media, with all the pressure and everything, are not guided enough how to set up their image, what message they're delivering to the world, because their message is so impactful. You have millions, hundreds of millions of kids that are watching them, copying them, doing their haircuts, and
Influence.
so yeah, they are the real influencers. Do you think there is enough of kind of guidance that how they should be and what the image that they should pursue?
Well,
how do you see that?
To answer to your question, I think there's not enough guidance, but there is a reason for that. A lot of things that we see are new. Social media, the impact, all the digital platforms, the way you watch games, the way advertisers are using the content created. So everything is new. So a young player, depending on what is his motivation to pursue this kind of career, doesn't have a team in the beginning that evolve at the same speed. And then I think that's where there should be, let's say, more things that should be done by the football institution to protect, but not only young football players in general. And there's a lot of things that can be improved in that way, because if you are elite player, you should have access to elite resources to protect yourself, to, for example, investment, to plan for the future, to plan for even your balance in life, what you have access to. Because if it's football from, let's say, 11, 12 now, all the families, they want, what we call Project Mbappe. Everybody wants their son to be Mbappe. But then I don't think the parents are themselves prepared. Everything is new. Everything is huge.
And I think everybody gets carried away with this opportunity that their son could be the
and
next.
that's a lot of pressure. Now we talk a lot about mental health. That's real, about the balance. Football, the pressure, but what do you have on the side to balance yourself, to regenerate yourself from this?
Yeah, well, even those Sunday games that I go watch Andre play, I get so passionate about it. You see all these parents almost getting in fight over the game. Was it penalty? Was it not? Was it foul? Subconsciously, you get into this mindset.
Yeah, and those are skills that you develop by getting used to be in this kind of environment. If you've never been there, and it's things that you will experience in like high level of stress or of pressure and everything. It's it's something that not everyone is able to do. That means if the kid is talented, if he's working, is surrounded by good people, it's a positive thing. But the opposite is true. You also become a target because there's a lot of interest. You generate a lot of money for the system, so people want to let's say be part of it. And then how do you decide? How do you compare? Do you have access to those resources? The answer is no. Most of the time, people want to take control of the kids. So this is the reality, and this is why I think there's a statistic why that say that I think 60 or 70% of the football players go bankrupt.
Yeah, that's another thing that I don't feel like we talk about guidance and support while they're playing, but nobody prepares athlete what comes after the career, and the athletes start performing in a very young age. They are kids,
Yeah,
most of them not even teenagers,
yeah,
like when they start really putting all their time into their careers, and then even if career is long, it's still short, and athletes are young when they stop playing.
yeah,
What after? When the managers, the friends, the all people around them, they don't see them as a money making machine anymore.
yeah,
They're kind of left alone to figure out, and they're not prepared because all their life what they were doing is playing the sports and focusing on the game and making a good life for themselves, their families, and many people around them. What is the advice that you would give to a young athlete, young football player who now has all the resources, everybody wants to be their
yeah.
friends? What happens when the lights turn on and the career is over?
I mean, my advice is I share my own experience and I share, let's say, advice from people who came before me because there was always someone before you, and it's always wise to listen to what they have to say. Is prepare yourself to be responsible because if not, you will be guilty. That means you can receive any kind of advice, you can have any kind of excuse saying I was busy, I was focused, but at the end of the day, you will not be a kid forever, and you will become an adult. And you know what it is when you're adult? When you sign a paper, when you sign a contract, you're supposed to take advice before, because then when you put that signature on that paper, you are responsible for whatever bad advice you get. So I think when you are aware of this early, you you know information are accessible right now. You can now with internet, with all the with doing a podcast, there's so many sources of information. Now what's difficult is reliable sources of information. So if you bring your focus on that, then you will be able to feel what's right, what's wrong, to test people, to challenge people, because you are the leader. And this is my advice: be the leader of your life, be accountable, and make the people around you be accountable for anything that they want to provide to you.
You know how they say when Noah built the ark before the rain. So I agree. They have to start preparing themselves. They have to have a plan B somewhere ready to be in place. It's a different world when you
Yeah.
when you stop playing, and different challenges come. That's why it's so important that you try to be surrounded with the right people while you're playing, and also be able to retain that circle to be real, so it stays after you stop playing, so
Yeah.
you have somebody to rely on. um, I want to ask you. I mean, we're friends and we know each other for many years, but usually when people interview you, they want to hear from you something that, again, they can use for marketing, something that is popular. How was the game? Who was your favorite coach? Who was
Yeah.
your favorite player? Who did you like playing with? Who did you? I want to ask you, who is Florent Malouda? Who are you? What is your interest now? While you were playing and making all these successes, what was your hobby? What did you like to eat? What did you like? What kind of movies you like to watch?
Well, I would say I'm first of all I am I love sports in general, and of course I love football, and this is something that gave me balance in life from an early age. So From Malouda is interested in development, learning. So I like to experience things, and I think it's an everlasting process. And this is what I transfer. I think I made this career because I had these skills, and this helped me through my career. And now I am transferring in my after career, after playing career. But it's the same life. That means I'm trying to use every experience to become a better version of myself. I am open-minded, and I like challenges. So this is who I am, and that's why I think I choose competition. But now, you have to move on from playing to, let's say, other activities. And for example, you mentioned what kind of movies. Um, I like historical movies based on facts. I like children animation movies because I realize there are some messages that are not for children most of the time. So you go with your child to the cinema, but you're like, oh, this is for me. There's a message for me. I like music. For example,
Yeah, what kind of music you listen when you're
reggae
home alone?
music, jazz, rock. When I was in London, I used to go all the time to every live show. I like live music. Um, I organize in French Guyana for my charity 3 festivals, music festivals. So I have a lot of friends, in the music community, and I like the preparation as well. When I go to a show, I like to be backstage to see how they prepare for performance. So um, and I like I mentioned charity. I like to give back. I like to share because everything we do experience we have to share then because there's always a beginning, there's an end. So
Yeah, you do a lot of charity work.
yeah, it's my way of living. I like children. I now practice on daily basis with children, trying to develop them, unlock their potential, and this is something that stimulates me. So that's who I am, and I'm trying now that I'm aware I have more time. I'm trying to really be focused on creating a positive environment, and for this is you have to take time to bring your focus on the right thing and surround yourself with the right people with positive energy.
Well, you never detach yourself from football. You're still in football, and I know you work closely with UEFA, and you recently got your pro license as well.
Not yet.
So
I'm on the way.
on the way,
That's
okay,
my
on the
next
way.
objective.
And do you see yourself staying in football professionally, becoming a coach, or uh, how do you?
Yes, it's for me. It's clear. When I stopped playing, 2018. I was like in the beginning, no, it was too much. I need to stay away from this. But this is part of my life, and I have so much expertise to transfer, and it's valuable for other people that I started the process to to understand the environment where I was in, I was involved in. And then I realized that there's many aspects I didn't know about football. I know about being on the pitch, that people set a system for me to perform, but I didn't know much about everything around. And my first experience in Moscow was for me. It was really a key moment because I realized there's so many things I didn't even know about. So then I decided to apply for the UFA Masters in Sports Administration. So this curriculum was delivered by UFA and the French University of Limoges, and it comforted me in that aspect that I needed to go through that education process. Even though I have an experience, I was lacking in some aspect, in some points. So education is always the key. So I was graduated last year, and then I decided to do my coaching badges as well with the Wales Federation, and that's what I'm doing. And why I'm doing this is to be able to have the tools to communicate and transfer my ideas, develop my vision, and this is also an everlasting process. There's no limit, and I never set limit for myself. So for me, it's a way to open opportunities because I see opportunities in the management, in the coaching at any level, because I have so much to give, but I need to, structure myself in a way where I am productive and efficient at doing it, and manage my time to be able to keep the same balance. Even if I go back into management pro level, I need to have balance, private life, and this you need to master those tools. And that's what I learned also from the great managers like Carlo Ancelotti and all the greats, Gérard Roulier. Now I realize the skills that they were using to develop other people, not only players, but the staff, and give and create opportunities and lead by using those skills.
We talked about football players playing, being celebrity, but there's a lot of money involved, and everybody wants to be around them because everybody's making money out of them, and everybody can advise them. Obviously, advising them what's the next move
At your own expense.
Yeah, at your own expense, it will benefit me.
Yeah.
But what would you, as somebody who went through that, advise young players? There's a lot of money on the table.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at the contracts and the numbers that the players are making now, it's incredible.
Yeah.
For somebody who is playing, who's not actively doing business, and probably after their career, most likely will not be active in some building a corporation or something, where they should invest their money, how they should structure it. Do they need to start planning in an early stage? Do they need to have a team around them? Where they should look for an advice?
I mean, if I share my own experience, for example, my first professional contract, first thing I did was to invest in real estate. The house where I was living, we were not owning it, so I bought it. So for me, it was like a security. I had this example of football players who were bankrupt. So it was like, in case I'm bankrupt, at least I have a house. I have a roof over my head. So it was a simple strategy, something that I was 18 at the time, but it's something I understand. So the first advice is to do things you understand. Football players are not stupid. If you get access to information, you're able to make a choice. If you're not, you don't have a choice. So if you generate income, you generate money, you should have a choice. That's the first thing. And what I realize now, even like when I monitor and I use the tools that I have now to assess what I did in the past, is everything that you have to do in emergency is not good because you are playing. So you should have the time to understand any advice shouldn't be urgent. And I agree with you. You have to build a team, for everything, for investment, for your let's say, recovery team, for your coaching team. It's, you have to find the resources, but you find them if you look for them. And for me, this is what I share with every time I go, and I have opportunity to share with them. You say, okay, you have agent, you have people around you, but do you have access to the informations, or is it a way for you to be away from the relevant informations? And then if you know, you have to take action, because it's your life. And for me, what's difficult now is to, especially now, with this digital platform, it's easy to build a profile. I've done nothing, I can have a wonderful profile.
Yeah,
You know,
unfortunately.
yeah, but this is the world we're living in. We will not change the world, but you have certain things where you can control. So it's, they call it fact checks. So check background, background check. We spoke about it the other day. Is how can I check what the person is telling me? Do I focus on what he's telling, or is there a way to check what he did before?
Well, that's a good thing. That well, downside of having all these information is because anybody can place any information, but also because of that, there's people and the companies and institutions that can help individuals find out the truth.
Yeah.
I've had with that. It's a part of my job, and I've been familiar with that for a long time. And it's very helpful. And the people that are getting involved in a series and big things that involve a lot of money, they definitely should check every aspect and every possibility and every person that is involved in the whole circle. As I see a young athlete that is performing at his best, he needs to have a very good coach that will prepare him for the pitch, and a very good coach that will prepare him for what is after the pitch and take care of his businesses outside of the pitch. I agree that when you're young and you can't focus on the business, many investment vehicles might be tricky, might sound and look very interesting and lucrative. But investing in a real estate has always been traditionally a good way to invest.
Yeah, it's reliable. It's tangible. It's reliable.
It's a real estate. You have it. You own it.
Yeah.
Prices might go down, might go up, but in general, since the beginning of the world, the real estate value goes up.
Yeah, and I think the idea, the sooner you realize that you are the one who should, let's say, create your pension or retirement fund, no one else would do it for you. And football career is short. It's always like short-term contract, maybe 3 years, 4 years. But after that, nothing is guaranteed, And especially now that you move from country to country, it's not like, let's say, I played in England, I retired, I was I think I was living in Luxembourg. I didn't have what I paid as social expense in France or whatever. I didn't get it when I stopped playing. I was on my own. So this is the reality. You pay taxes, you pay whatever, but depending what will be your situation, where you retire, which country you live in, you have to maybe sometimes give up your rights. So the sooner you realize that, the sooner you realize I am on my own. Even if I'm surrounded, I am on my own. And this is the reality that many experience in silence. And in this moment, there is no institution, no players union, or no agent or whatever. You're on your own. So when you realize that, and you have the opportunity to share and to listen from people who went through that, then you take action when you can. And for me, that's the message I share. Is like, you can speak about the positive facts, but the reality is a lot of players who were in your position go through those situations now. So maybe that's a system. You understand? Same way you are part of a system who generate a lot of income. Same way, maybe some people have interest for you to, lose or whatever, and then they can sell you another service. So I think my advice is while you are on top or while you are relevant, be very demanding. Ask for elite services. Be demanding on the deadlines. You want this and you want options. And for me, it's a responsibility that you have to take. You cannot say, "Oh, it was my agent, it was this, it was that." Is you have to take a responsibility. And personally, that's a process I did at the end of my career. I had to review everything because I had time. Then I say, why did I do this? Then I understand it was a system. And now I share it, how I can take action. I'm becoming better at making choices, better partners. You see who is reliable when you have a problem, because
Yeah.
when you have a problem, people run away, and
Or
then
people take advantage of it.
yeah, it's
Some people create a problem
create problem.
so they can come and offer a
Exactly,
solution.
exactly. So, but like I say, every experience you can use it, or you can be a victim, and that's not my, let's say, my character to be a victim. So everything, sorry, is an opportunity to develop, to grow. And that's what I experienced. And then you see who is reliable, who delivers. And from this, you open new opportunities, because you become a better, let's say, a businessman, better leader, better at taking decisions. So you cannot run away from the experience, good or bad. And for me, this is the positive thing I always see in every challenge, is that you get to learn every time. Like he said, I never lose, I always learn.
Yeah, it's true. Life is a cycle of learning, and we have to enjoy it while doing it.
Yeah.
There'll be mistakes and setbacks, that's for sure. Um, Playing from one team to another, you always know that when you arrive to a team, you know that at some point you're going to leave that team. Is it going to be in a year, in 5 years, in 7 years? But at some point, you're going to be somewhere else. And that moving, I'm talking about logistics, from one country to another. How instrumental for you was the help of the teams that you were playing, and how they made it easy for you? And now when you are not playing and you have to do it on your own,
Yeah.
how different that is?
Well, I would say it depends the country, it depends the club, it depends your status within that club. When you say you're a key player, it's easier to be demanding on what you want, how you want. You have to know first what you want. And when you have a family, you take in consideration schools, the locations, how independent can be the family when you're on the move. And this is very important for everyone to settle, because I can move to a country and personally I settle because I am busy doing what I love. So everything, even that's not so cool, I will, make something out of it. But the people that counts for you, you want them to enjoy the experience as well. And for me, that's the key. If I move to a country, I need everybody around me to feel good. Otherwise, I cannot stay. That's why, for example, I decided when I move, I want to stay for a minimum 4 years to 5 years. Why? Because I move with the children, I move with the wife and the partners. It's uh, it's good because it's essential in your balance, because there's the professional life and private life, the education, talking about the kids, how they go along at school. This is very important. Otherwise, you don't want to stay in the country. And once you focus on that, the club or the organization will support. And for me, that's what I like with, and you see it, you notice it with successful organizations. For example, when we were going with the national team before the World Cup, they were inviting the families and everything. It's good for your mental health to see that, okay, you play for the fans, but your family is there and is sharing the experience. And same when you settle, is you move to a country, they will show you the stadium, the training ground, but then you have to find the house and think about all the other things that you do outside of your professional life for you and your family. And for me, it's very important to know what you like, what you don't like, and to have options. And then you make the move.
A few years ago, you moved to Dubai, UAE. And how do you like it so far?
Well, it's great. I recommend, I recommend people to come and to judge for themselves. But UAE provides peace of mind, um, vision, and I like the system. It's very easy going. Everybody's welcome. There's no discrimination. I think the people, the rulers, they love their people, um, and they are demanding. I mean, anyone who come here and move here, even the tourists, they see the safety is great, is amazing. And talk about education, when you see the quality, the choices of curriculum that you have is, and again, the vision is 2040, 2050, and you realize that everything that's been announced is delivered. So we're like, this is the place to be. This is the place to be, and I think it is an example of system that's working. I wish, for example, I'm French, I wish that in France they come and study the way the administration, the municipalities are working, the way the system is set. So for me, I'm learning. That's why I feel good here.
Was it very easy to move here, to set up, to find a place to live?
Thanks to you. You really helped me. I mentioned the UK earlier, but when I moved here, you were key for me to feel well. I met other people as well who they wanted me to feel welcome first, and really they helped me to become resident. It's not you live here, but being a resident is a totally different lifestyle. Is the way you socialize. Let's say people are easygoing, and for me that's also key to feel well. When you feel well somewhere, is you have so many nationalities, but everybody feel resident. Everybody, there's this kind of sense of community, even if you're not.
Belongings.
Yeah, you belong here. And for me, it's very impressive, because if I listen to, the topics in my country about immigration or whatever, it's very negative. And here you have let's say, positive example of system that works with people from all over the world. They come and go, and it works. So, that's why I mentioned the peace of mind.
Do you find this? I mean, you see a lot of people coming here, invest in a real estate, open up companies, building their life, business life, and personal life here. Do you see this place as a place that you would recommend to people to come invest, look for the opportunities?
Yeah, definitely. First of all, because of the system. The system is trying to invite people to do so, but I always get back to get the right information. Why you do this? Do you have any interest in doing it? If yes, yeah, do it, experience it, and you have support. When I mention the system, and you have support. If you want to do something, you have a clear idea of what you do. You go to someone and you make it happen almost same day. So for me, it's a place of opportunities, creating, developing. I think when I think about UAE and Dubai, I think about research and development. This is, at the time I was talking about startups, Silicon Valley. I see here as a place of a lot of people with ideas and vision are moving to Dubai and are here to research. And for me, it's a very good sign. And the rulers are supporting this. They believe in this. So that's why I say, don't even hesitate. There is a reason why people um, uh, make that move. So I never push, or I say, come and see for yourself and then tell me what you think.
Well, the place is definitely booming. UAE is attracting so many people that want to come and live and spend their just free time, people that want to build their businesses, people that want to move their businesses here. But it feels like because there is a lot of an inflow that everybody is also trying to take so much advantage of it.
Yeah.
And starting with a real estate industry that you get the calls like 5 times a day. Hi, do you want to sell a property? Don't you think that the maybe the service and the pressure that they're putting on these people should be a little bit more sophisticated, and with everybody doing the same thing, maybe the level of service goes down, or a perception of level of service goes down?
I would say and there is a responsibility from the government to run and rule it. But what you can control individually is your knowledge, what you need and what you don't need, and stay focused, build a strategy, develop your abilities to make better choices. Because when I mention opportunities, you can have a lot of choices and make mistakes. The goal is not to make mistakes. So the thing is, I would never complain about having a place where you have so much opportunities, good and bad. I will focus on myself. How can I choose wisely? And this is something I learned from the masters, for example. Networking is so underrated. How do you build a reliable, strong, and solid network instead of being exposed to a negative network that is targeting you? And that's the world we're living in, is people will try to take advantage. It could be here or anywhere else, especially with the internet. This generation of scammers, they don't need to be here to try. This is a fact, especially with the digital platform, digital world we're living in. So for you to be aware of it, I always get back to take actions. How you can take actions, because that's also a skill. Protect and preserve yourself, preserve your interest. Because no one but you can do it better than you. And this is why I like to learn and listen to people who had experiences, even the successful people. When you get a chance to get a bit of their time, they will tell you about their stories, the background. They experienced the exact same thing. So you learn from them. If they do it, why at my level I wouldn't apply and implement what they're doing? Because there's always, when you're successful, you attract. When you're under the light, you attract. And you cannot decide, I attract only the positive. And those are facts.
Exactly. Well, one thing you mentioned, and I want to touch that subject, is you moved from French Guiana, which is French territory, and you always had a French passport. And then you lived in UK while UK was part of the European Union, so it was really easy. Then Luxembourg, then coming to UAE, it's a very welcoming country, and it's a relatively easy to integrate in terms of getting the documents and setting yourself to be eligible to live and work and open a company in UAE. But that's not the case with everyone. Some people are unfortunately born in a places where, in a countries where their passports are not as good, and they don't give them a freedom of mobility as you were.
This
in
is
case,
discrimination.
It's and these people struggle. I'm aware that a lot of African players, a lot of players from the Balkan region, they never make it because of the quota of European Union
Yeah, even
teams
the
that they cannot
Brazilians.
have. Yeah, like how
Yeah.
many Brazilians and. Uh, what do you think of that? How that could be solved? And because it's unfair.
Of course, and but life is unfair. But you can still make it. That's the beauty of it. First of all, I was forever be grateful to France because, like you mentioned, this passport opened so many doors for me and make it easy for me to travel, open my mind, and have different kind of traveling experience. Same for me. You mentioned going to the UK. I didn't have problem to have a working permit, which was not the case for African players, Brazilian players. I remember some time we were traveling for Champions League and the African guys were stopped as customs, borders and customs.
Can you imagine Didier Drogba get stopped at the
He was
border?
lucky he had the French passport.
He had a
But
French one.
the Nigerian, the Ghanaian, always they were stopped. They knew, they were legit or whatever, but that's why I always say this is discrimination. And then it's not because you're not you're a danger for the country or whatever. It's just this passport is no. Even if you are working, no. We have the ability to block you. And that's why I say it's we're not really living in a free world. When you travel, you get to see that there are differences between countries and things like that. So I always say there's a problem, there is a solution. You have to look for a solution. You need partners, you need advice, you need people who help you and support you along the way. For example, the clubs, they were trying to find a way with international players to get them some caps so they can apply for working permits. So there is a system you need to learn to go along with it, and there are always solutions. There are people who know about it, there are people who pretend they know about it. So I think when you get back to networking, when you have access to the right resources, they give you the right advices to fix situations. It's very essential.
We have to agree on one thing: having a right passport
Yeah,
is very important.
yeah,
Uh, I I saw so many families, our clients. Those moments when their new citizenship certificates and passports are
yeah,
delivered to them, the joy, the happiness, tears,
yeah,
because at that moment, very moment, their life becomes much different. And it's sometimes it's a myth that people do that for only for this reason, that reason, avoiding taxes, moving. Some people do it for their families, for the kids' education, for a kid that cannot play somewhere.
opportunities,
Yeah,
opportunities.
it's a window of
It's as simple
opportunities.
as that. I consider myself as a global citizen. It doesn't matter my passport, and I am French, but I am South American. So I am global. Even in French Guiana, for example, in the same day I can be in Brazil, I can be in Suriname. Without taking the plane, riverboat, car. I can do it, and this is my culture. I have people playing with me when we were playing the National Cup in France. They couldn't travel to Paris. Why? Because they were Brazilian, Asian, born in French Guiana. They have no connection. Maybe the family lives in Haiti or in Brazil. They were born, but they couldn't travel to France with the team. So from an early age, I experienced this. So that's why I mentioned some opportunities are closed for certain people depending on this piece of paper, which is a passport and the nationality. This is a fact. So I understand this feeling that you talk about, oh, I received the right to, let's say, open opportunities for me and my family. And that's why now I didn't know about this, that you can get citizens. For example, I invested in some countries. I never get even the option to become a citizen or whatever. I didn't have any right. I was still an under citizen because I'm not from here. They make you feel you're not from here. You know, you are welcome at the time you put in our economy, and then you're not here. You're not supposed to be here. So this is a fact. But like I say, for me, it's a motivation. I go where I'm welcome. And see, I'm in UAE, I'm welcome.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for this conversation. I have I have a last question. You don't know who our next guest is going to be, but
Not yet.
not yet. But I want you to ask the question to our next guest without knowing who that person is, male, female, sports people, athlete, philanthropist, businessman.
Yeah. I will ask a simple question. What is your next move?
Good one.
Simple, but at the same time.
Not that. Okay. Good one. Thank you. Thank you so much for being with us.
My pleasure.
It's the pleasure is all ours, and we wish you the best of luck in your future career, personal life, and everything that you're planning.
Thank you, and same to you. Wish you all the best in your new venture with Soland. I hope you all the best, you and your team, and hope to see you soon.
It's our world, our choice.
Yeah.
Thank you.